Welcome to The Friendzy.
Hi, I'm Melissa Carter.
And I'm Jenn Hobby.
The Friendzy's mission is to celebrate friendships over 40.
We believe that women thrive through authentic relationships, self-discovery, and spiritual exploration.
Our decades-long friendship continues to grow because we are willing to go there and share the truth through life's highs and lows.
And that's why The Friendzy is here to hold space for women who are 40 and older, because at this age, your story matters more than ever.
I'm Melissa, and I put ketchup on my steak, and I put ketchup on my eggs.
Yes, girl. That's a Southern girl right there.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that just said, you know what? I can't, Melissa. But yes, no, I do. Don't give me steak sauce. Give me ketchup.
Ketchup on your steak. Okay.
Yes.
To me, that ruins a steak, but I'm fully with you on the ketchup on the eggs.
On the eggs, yes. I know I'm in the minority about the steak, but it's how I grew up, and that's just what I like. Because steak sauce, I don't think tastes good.
And at this age, you like what you like.
Hell yeah.
Right? You just go with it. Just stop. You don't care what anybody else thinks about you. You ask that server for the ketchup.
Yes, I'm going to be the person that my grandchild be like, Grandma or Mimi or Gigi or whatever the hell they call me. It's like, no, give me my ketchup. Give me my ketchup. Anyway.
I'm Jenn Hobby, and I can't see up close. So when I went out to dinner with my girlfriends, I took a big, delicious bite of my ahi tuna salad, and I realized that I actually swallowed the huge pile of sliced ginger.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say wasabi, but still.
The whole pile of ginger. I thought it was a mango chunk because in the rest of the salad is a beautiful salad. There's this beautiful slices of ahi tuna, but I couldn't really see very well. And I didn't want to pull out my readers to eat. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to eat my salad. I stabbed what I thought it was a mango and got a surprise of a lifetime when I was biting down and chewing on it. And one of my girlfriends was in the middle of a very important story she was telling. So I didn't interrupt her. I just chewed it and swallowed the whole thing.
How was it? Does it make you not want to eat ginger anymore?
Well, I will say my stomach was pretty upset the next day. I think it has some qualities that is similar to a detox.
Oh, there you go. Right.
It's like cleans you right on out. Sorry, TMI. Lesson learned. I will wear my readers next time.
God, I'm the same way.
To eat.
I don't know if it's a Pisces thing but yeah, I know people that would have spit that out and made a joke out of it or would have. Where I'm like you, it's like I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to bring the attention to me if it's on somebody else. So
I just ate it.
I would have eaten it too. Bless your heart.
I did tell my girlfriends when they were, when she was finished with the story, I told everybody at the table, I said, I just ate the whole pile of sliced ginger in one bite. And they laughed. And one of my girlfriends said that on her first date when she was 16, she got a baked potato. And she was trying to pay attention to the date and what he was talking about. And, so she didn't realize that she scooped up a big bite of butter. It was one of those,
oh God.
The circles, the spheres of butter. And she said she just chewed it and chewed it all the way through. And he never knew. She said she wanted to throw up during the whole date.
Oh God, bless her heart.
I know.
I probably would have done the same thing.
All right. Well,
I can't. Anyway, yeah, I was taking a drink because I was trying to think of anything I've done on a date. I'm sure there's plenty of things I can't, but I'm 51. I can't think of it. But yeah, but that's not what we're talking about on today's show. Coming up on today's show, Jen, what are we doing?
I have some crazy cat lady questions for Melissa Carter because yes, girl, you are a crazy cat lady. How many you have in your house?
4.
4 cats. Yeah. And we just took a trip to visit some family members and stayed in my niece's apartment, and she has 2 cats. So I spent a week living with cats, and I have got lots of questions for you.
Also, you don't know my life question. See how defensive I'm getting? I'm just kidding. Yes, we're going to have a you don't know my life question, and we thought we'd go ahead and let you know what it's going to be so that you can think about it. And it is, how did you get scammed from Instagram?
Plus, on the Friendzy advice column today, we have a question from Ashley in North Carolina. She wants to know some creative ways to stay in touch with friends who who live out of state or in different time zones. So we'll dive into that.
Also, Jen has your mirror mantra to say to your reflection this week.
Quick question. Have you signed up for the Friendzy Weekly email yet? Well, please do. We send the episode right to your inbox, so it's a nice little reminder to listen. And then we include links to things that we talk about and give you some deeper insights into the topics that we cover. The Friendzy email list is also how you get into our private Facebook group. So sign up today at thefriendzy.com. It'll take you 2 seconds.
And thanks to our listeners who have subscribed to our email list at thefriendzy.com. Our 3 new friends are Misty Ramachandran, Jessica Magana, and Wendy Wolf. Thank you so much.
All right, Melissa Carter, I'm going to dive into some crazy cat lady questions for you here in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's thank our sponsors.
I feel seen. Kit Kat pajamas, where if you got seen, you wouldn't be embarrassed and you would be able to put your tubes in and stuff, because those who are battling cancer need these pajamas because it's more comfortable in the hospital with them. And anything, it's specifically for cancer because there's contributions to cancer research through these pajamas.
That's right.
But if you have friends who have other reasons to have to be in the hospital, these Kick It pajamas would apply to them as well. Because I know for me, on dialysis or during my transplant, I would have loved these. Use the Friendzy, the code Friendzy, friend with the ZY. That's your code Friendzy for a 10% discount.
Yes. And then check your veins with
Lifeline screening down your veins. Don't have a stroke. It's not invasive. It's just a little zoop, zoop on your because everybody thinks about their heart, but they don't think about the veins around the rest of their body. And that's what Lifeline Screening does at lifelinescreening.com. Use the code FRIENDS without the Y, and they'll know that we sent you.
Love it. Okay, so Melissa Carter, I have got some questions for you about your cats. And let me get this straight. I think crazy cat ladies are awesome. I do think you're a crazy cat lady, but not in like a mean way, like in an awesome way. Cats are cool.
It's accidental. Well, I'm glad you said that, because Jen has questions because she authentically has been interested in having a cat. I have 4 cats, and brief description, that was unintentional. I always usually have 2. And then a 20-year-old, Akima, bless her soul. She was I had her since I was in my 20s, passed during the pandemic. And so my son was very upset by that. And so I normally have 2 cats. So I'm like, hey, let's get a cat during the pandemic. And this way we can train it. We can be with it. And so no charity would let me adopt just 1 cat. They all wanted them to go with a litter mate, because they, whatever.
They needed to get rid of the animals because they couldn't operate the shelters. They
That's
needed
exactly right.
them all to have forever families. So they were doing them 2 at a time.
Yes. And so I was like, fine. And we got 2. And so it gave me 3. And I was like, that's good enough. I've got 3 cats. And then on a trip to the grocery store, a homeless lady had witnessed somebody throw 2 little kittens out of the car, and she couldn't care for them. And I'm like, well, hell, let me figure this out. And I brought them home thinking I was going to adopt both of them out. I adopted one out to a fantastic family. And then the second one was too small for a charity to take. And they said, we'll take it in a month. Well, of course, a little kitten in my house for a month is not going to disappear after a month. And so I have 4 cats now. So yes. And I tend to call it, I'm opening a cat cafe, Jen. Not that
Cat
I'm a crazy cat. Yes.
Cat cafe. Okay. So first things first, where does the crazy cat lady definition come from? Like what's the mystery behind that?
I think it's because it's kind of the stereotype of the gamer guy that's living in his parents' basement, that the crazy cat lady is the woman that never got married, that lives by herself, and then she just happens to have a lot of cats around her that she uses as her social life. And so the stereotype is for a woman who is something's wrong with her to where she can't function in society, so she has her cats in her house.
She has cats, and that's who she has conversations with, right?
Yes, correct.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And I don't know what the number is. I assume when I had 3 cats, I thought, okay, I'm there. I thought 3 cats was crazy cat lady, and now I have 4. So anyway, continue.
Questions because we are close to Halloween this time of year and all
Mhm.
things like spooky, why
Yes.
do cats have such superstition around them? Like, why is the black cat this superstitious sign of something?
I think because there's this reputation that witches always had cats. Like, I don't know if,
Oh, I
because
didn't
if
think
you
of that.
yeah, because if you see, usually imagery of witches has the black cat. Now, I don't know of course, if witches, because I don't really convene with a coven, but if I did, I would ask them if cats are part but cats also, I think because of their independence, like, there's, people who are anti-cat are usually very, pro-dog. Now, I have both. I have a dog in the house, so I have 5 animals in this house. I am crazy. But I've always had dogs and cats together, and my animals have always gotten along, and that's because I grew up with both a dog and a cat. My parents only had one of each, but they can get along. I don't see them as one versus the other, but they're very different. Dogs are very pack oriented, and that's why they do what you train them. You're their pack leader, so
Right, you're the alpha,
you're the alpha. So
allegedly.
yeah, so they will follow you and do what you want. Like she's about 15 years old at this point, Gigi, and she is blind and deaf, but she will find me. She does not want me to be away from her in a different room. Like, she's sitting right here at my feet. She always
But
wants to be with
cats
me. Cats
are
could give a I mean, cats are independent.
okay.
They are not pack animals. They are independent predators, and they are fine on their own. I've just always had 2 because I don't know. In my mind, I'm thinking, "Oh, he needs a friend." Well, cats don't need friends, but mine obviously have a lot of friends in the house. But I think the reason there's anti-cat feelings is because the cat is not doing what you want it to do. The cat does its own thing. And
Which is
sometimes
kinda
yeah,
cool. There's
that's
a
why I love cats for that.
I like cats because there's, like, a calming energy about them, and I'm
Mhm.
asking you all these crazy cat lady questions because I am gonna have to do a real hard sell on my husband in order for us to get a cat, so I'm very interested, and then we lived with a cat and my niece 2 cats in my niece's apartment, while we were on vacation, and so I had some more experience with actually living with a cat, not just visiting somebody else's cat.
Right.
So, I'm asking all these questions because I truly am interested in having one. Okay.
Can I jump in and tell you one of the main reasons I like cats
Yeah.
or living with cats over dogs is because cats clean themselves.
Okay.
Cats are very meticulous. Cats are picky about their environment. And so if the litter box is too dirty, like if you have the litter box inside, I know people that the cats are trained to go outside. So the cat, just like a dog, it's an outdoor cat. Um, but I have my cats inside because there's a lot of anti-cat people. And sometimes I've known people who purposely tried to run over cats when they were
Oh,
driving.
no.
Excuse me. My sister's cats were poisoned by the neighbor. So there are people, so I've never had my cats outside because they're just mean people out there, about cats. But if the litter box is too dirty, the cat will go next to it to give you the signal that I can't function in that litter box. It needs to be clean. Like, cats like to be clean. And so they don't like to get their paws, wet sometimes. A lot of cats don't like water, but they clean themselves. Their tongues are hard like combs for the purpose of cleaning. If you have a long-haired cat, a lot of times you'll get a lot of hairballs, and basically that's just them vomiting up the hair that they have cleaned off their bodies. I have short hair cats, and I don't have a problem with hairballs. They don't vomit their
Okay.
hair. Um,
Hairballs is, gonna be a check in the con column, okay?
but if you get a short
Pros,
but that
cons.
but there's food you can get for cats that have but like I said, that I've only known people with long-haired
Long-haired
cats
cats.
that had an issue with that. The
Okay.
cat's body's able to digest it if it's in limited amounts.
Okay,
Um,
so here's the
but
cleaning
they're clean, but I'm just saying that they're
question.
clean and they don't smell. See, dogs, you have to bathe consistently because then, the dog gets a dog smell, and it's time for a bath. That never
Mhm.
happens with cats. You can to me, they're
Okay.
furry and they purr and they're just warm and they like to stay on you because cats like warmth. And anyway, sorry, I could
Okay, so
go
we
on and
have
on.
no baths in the pro column. We got hairballs in the con problem
Yes,
column.
potentially, but hairballs, again, you may never
May
see
not.
one.
Okay, let me ask you about litter box because
Yes.
this was the biggest challenge in my niece's apartment. She had her litter boxes in her bathroom, and one of the cats liked to scratch all the litter out onto the floor, like, every time he used it. So, there was litter everywhere, scattered all over, and I felt like we vacuumed, like, 3 times a day, because if we didn't, then you're, like, stepping on it, and then you're, like, walking around the apartment and, like, tracking litter. I was like,
So
how is this manageable?"
so sorry, the cats, not dogs. Cats, that bury their stuff. So you notice when you take a dog out, they just poop and they walk. Like dogs, like you
They
pee, you poop,
hunch, they look a little shameful about it, and then
and then
they
they
move on.
leave. Where cats, uh, especially if they're taught by their parents, so house trained cats, which normally you
Yeah.
would get at a shelter, they would know whether it's a potty trained cat or not. That's natural. You don't have to do that with a cat. They learn that from their parent, and it's instinctual where they don't want because they're not a pack animal. They're usually on their own, so they don't want anybody uh, tracking them, so they bury their poop and they bury their pee. So
Huh.
that's why you have a litter box inside because a cat needs to bury it, and that's what the litter is for, is to give them the sensation that they are in the dirt. Well, in the case of your friend's cat or your niece's cat, there's some cats that just don't do it well. I've had a cat like that where
A sloppy
they're trying to bury it, and they're just slinging and they're going through the motions, and they leave. I've had a cat where they didn't check it, and I've had the other cat come and bury it for them
oh
because
my
they're just sloppy about it. So
gosh.
that's unique to that one cat. Not every cat's that way.
Right,
They
because
have
I don't think it's a brother and sister pair that she has, and the sister was very neat and tidy. The brother made a hot mess every time he used the bathroom, and then as soon as we would clean it up and, like, scoop out the litter box and get rid of the poo and have it nice and fresh, he'd go in there and ruin it again. It's like he wanted us to
yes.
clean it just so he could go in there, and so I just felt like
Yeah.
it was a 24/7 job to keep up with this litter box in her place, and I just thought, you gotta really love a cat in order to do this, like, 24/7.
It's not 24/7. It's just that particular cat has that particular personality. Now, I will say a
Got
good
it.
sell, and I've got 4 boys. I would suggest to get a girl
A girl cat
because
is different than a boy cat.
when it comes to exactly what you said, like, my girl cats have
Wow.
always been a little more less aggressive. Now my girl cat that passed, I mean, she was a badass, like, she would take no crap, and she was, but when it came to the litter box or came to her food bowl or came to, she was more, again, cleanliness and you barely could tell that she was there. Where it depends. I've got boy cats that again are very like, my oldest is just you can't tell. He goes to the litter box. It's not a big mess. He eats. It's not a big mess. But then I've got another boy that is, he like there are times I found the litter box turned over
Oh my
one
gosh.
day, and I was and it was the I know exactly which cat did that because he's just aggressive, and he was just being aggressive about making sure that it was covered, so he covered it with the box itself.
Oh
And when he eats,
gosh.
like, he eats as if hadn't eaten in 3 days. He's aggressive and manic about just his jaws are huge when he chomps the food, but that's just him. That's his personality. But I haven't seen that type of personality in a girl cat. So you're taking a chance when you adopt because you don't know what you're getting when you adopt a cat. But I'd say in your house for a husband that is not that a big fan of cats, I would probably start with a girl.
Okay, and that's the case even if they are spayed and neutered? Because you fix your cats, right?
All my youngest is, he was a little wormy because he came from the streets, and so we're getting rid of the worms before we take care of the neutering, but yes, I always get my cat spayed or neutered. The spaying takes longer to recover because it's an internal thing. They have to internally get, it's more invasive, where with the boy cats, it's just they're making sure that the sack is empty, that nothing comes into the
Yeah.
sack, and,
That always
so yeah.
makes me think of, Bob Barker from Price is Right.
Yes.
Didn't he always tell everybody at the end of the show to
Spay and
spay
neuter.
and neuter your
Yes.
pets
One that's
with
also
his tall, skinny microphone?
and again, I'm not a vet. I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise to a lot of people, but over, again, my entire life, I've had dogs and cats, and that's also healthy for them. I know a lot of people think it's your but animals produce sex hormones, and so if you don't spay and neuter your animals and you're not allowing them to roam and have
Ah,
sex, you are actually it is unhealthy for them. It actually lengthens the life of an animal to spay and neuter them because you're taking away the possibility of these hormones being doing damage to their body because they're not able to have sex and balance those hormones out.
okay. Couple more cat questions.
Yes.
Are they all nocturnal?
Not necessarily, but cats see better. Well, the cats can see well at night.
Oh,
But also cats see better with motion. I don't this is doesn't exactly answer your question. That yes, cats are nocturnal and usually a cat will be up at some point of the night to do something, whether it's to eat, whether it's to go to the bathroom, and sometimes to play. Just I'd say make sure that any toys you get for your I have quiet toys, like
right.
little stuffed animals. I don't do the bells and the balls and all that stuff because and the noisemakers because they will play with that at night while you're trying to sleep. So in the
Got it.
morning, I will see items moved knowing they were up, but they usually fall asleep when I fall asleep and they're usually asleep when I wake up. So sometime in the night they'll get up to do something, but they're not up all night.
Got it.
But they're
Because
routine oriented.
my nieces were awake at night, and they were, like, walking on our heads and walking up and down. I think they were exploring us, and, of course, they
Yes.
liked my husband because he didn't want anything to do with them, and I think cats
Yes.
know if like, I was,
Yes.
like, the one that was like, "Come here, come snuggle with me." They were like, "Nah, don't want you, lady. We want the guy who's trying to ignore us." What is
Yes.
that?
Well, it's funny. I was about to say that yes, Grant will learn. My father was anti-cat. My brother, what started cats in our house, is my brother. On vacation one time, I was told the story that he picked. There was cats love my brother. They're attracted to him. Strays oddly come to his place, and so he was little at a hotel, and stray cat, came up to him
Aw.
at 2 years old, and so he started playing with him, and the cat was sweet, and then my brother picked it up to try to take it into the hotel room, and my parents were like, "No," and that's when my mother told my father, "You're gonna have to get this boy a cat." And so, because he was anti-cat, so he finally gave in, and there are plenty of pictures of Simon. We had a male cat, Simon, laying on his neck while my dad was reading, laying in his lap. Like they know it's like because they have a very, and pardon my language, but very fuck you attitude. So they know they got you. That cat knew, oh, well, I got this one, but that guy over there, like I'm gonna show him. Like it's they are very rebellious. And
Interesting.
they will charm you. Like this cat that I adopted, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew that his sibling had disappeared, that he was about to disappear from this house, and he spent his time doing nothing but paying attention to me, and now I adopted him. I mean, they know, they're
So
smart. They're
cute.
very smart animals. Anyway, but
Smart is in the pro category. I like that.
they're
I like
very, very
smart.
smart and they're routine oriented. So
Okay.
be careful what time you feed them breakfast because that is when they will always expect breakfast and they will wake you up to get breakfast. The cat that passed away, Akima, I just adored her, but she was a little asshole at times. And if I was sleeping in, she would literally jump from the floor onto the bed as hard as she could to shake the bed and then jump on my stomach and then jump off. Like, wake up, wake up. Like she wouldn't get in my face, but she would shake the bed to wake me
Like,
up.
I'm hungry.
And then my oldest now, Nico, he just sits and stares. So he'll get up and his face will be in my face when I wake up because it's time for breakfast. And then if he's out of water, anytime Nico is sitting and staring at me, even Mr. Carter knows this, he wants something. So if he's just giving you a cold stare, it's like, okay, what haven't I done? So cats really have the attitude that you work for them. They're not your pet, you're their pet. And so they will let you know
Hilarious.
when something's wrong. So anyway, so yes, but I love that. That's what I love about him. I love my dog because she's such a loyal companion. And I
Mhm.
love my cats because they just, I don't know, I work for them, and I'm their hired hand. But
I love
anyway,
that.
I don't know if I'm
Okay.
answering your questions, but yes.
Last question for you is about the claws
Yeah.
because I know some people who have declawed their cats and they're only indoor cats, and then I know other people who let their cats outdoors, and they say you have to let them keep their claws if they're gonna go outdoors so they can climb a tree or defend themselves or whatever. So
Yes.
tell me about the claw thing.
I am anti-declawing. I think that
Okay.
that's for the convenience of the human, and I think it's disrespectful to the animal. Because the equivalent, and I've heard this, that the equivalent is if you cut off your finger down to the first knuckle. That
Oh,
it's not just taking the nail out, you're taking part of not only their balance out, part of their natural way of, you're taking too much away. They don't just take the nail out, they are cutting off part of their finger, and, in order to do that, and you can easily clip a cat's, claws. There are
really?
nail clippers. As long as you start the process when they're kittens and they're used to it, then it's no big deal. But I don't do that as often. I don't have my cats don't claw the furniture. They
Really?
don't do that. If one of them has started to do that, then I scold them and show them you need to give them a place where they claw. So the reason they claw, in general, is because they are responsible for pulling off the top layer of their nail. So it's their way of clipping their nails is to claw
Mm.
and pull, and you'll see these shells of nails. You barely see them, but if I've seen one or two, it's just a shell of a nail that's on the floor, and it's their nail clipping. So they do it. So they not only clean themselves, but they give themselves manicures. And so that's why there's scratching posts. That's why you have scratching posts, and you teach the cat that's where you scratch. And all my cats scratch on the scratching post and don't scratch the furniture. Um,
Mhm.
I've really never had a cat that the only time that I have scratch marks in my current couch because when Akima was too old to jump on the couch, she would pull herself up on the couch. And I didn't realize she was doing that, but she wasn't doing it to claw it. She was trying to climb. So the only issue I
Yeah.
ever had was when she was elderly. But yeah, give the cat the best thing you can do for your cat is to give him a little cat house, or you've seen the shelves or play that include
Like a
the
tower?
a tower, yes, a cat tower, and put it by a window. Cats'
Okay.
bodies run hotter than ours, and that's why they lay in the sun. So, if you see these, you can see all over the internet where it is true. If the light is coming into a window, if the sunshine is coming into a window, and it's just got this little strip on your floor, that cat will lay in the strip just to be in the sun. The cat needs to be hot. And so that's why they lay in your lap, is because you generate heat. They don't like to be cold. I had a cat growing up, our heater vents were on the floor. He would lay, and my mom and I were fascinated that he would lay right on the vent, take the heat on the vent, and it would burn most people. But anyway, cats' body temperatures are higher than 98.6, and so that's why they are constantly trying to find ways to be warm, and that's why if you put them in the sun in a window, they'll sleep there all day, and if you put a blanket on your lap, they'll climb up and they'll just lay in your lap all night. Like, they just want to be warm. So that's the other so again, it seems sweet that they want to be affectionate and be cuddly.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they wanna be warm, so they'll let you pet them and hug on them.
Again, you are their pet, not they are your pet.
Yes,
I love it.
and they will, and
Thank
again,
you for all this because I
yes.
feel like, I feel like we learned a little bit by living with a couple for a week, but I just had these questions.
Well, the follow-up one last thing about the litter boxes, that's the main reason. Now, my goal is always for people to walk in my house and it not smell like I have animals,
Right.
and usually the problem with that, and I have more problems with the dog on this, but carpets, I'm working to get the carpets out of this house I moved into.
Yeah.
Um, but I keep the litter boxes. So since I have 4 cats, you can't just have one litter box. I have a box for each cat, and I have them all upstairs in the bedrooms area, right? So in bathrooms and everything, because the idea is I don't want visitors. And then if it's near me, because I lived in a place one time where I put it where the hot water heater was, in a closet, like not next to it, but like and I forgot about it. Like so sometimes you have to have it near you so that you don't forget to clean it.
Mhm.
But there's no reason for a litter box to smell because they have improved litters. Like the litter to me stinks more than the poop does. Like some litters are awful, but there are now natural. I use a because as a transplant recipient, there's chemicals in litter that I'm not supposed to be around, and there's natural litters that you can get. Um, There'll be times where I have tried out the puppy pads that I have gotten from my elderly dog, and the cats will pee on the puppy pad, and that has no odor whatsoever. It's just they get confused on how to cover it, right? So they then flip the puppy pad because they but anyway, the litter box should not be something that is intimidating. You as long as you care for it. If you know your animal's only going to go to the bathroom in it if maybe like you do. You go to the toilet how many times? Well, that's how many times the cat's going to go in the litter box. You clean it every day, no big deal. It takes 60 seconds, and I usually dump the items in a plastic grocery bag and tie it off, and you can keep your house from smelling. That's the thing. It's like it you get in a routine, and the litter box is such a small part of what your life is like. And for your friend, if you get a cat that kicks it too far, you can get a covered litter. That's what the covered litter boxes are for.
Yeah, that's what he did. She had a covered one, and he kicked it out of the door
He's
of
still
the covered one.
well, that's
Yeah,
just a
this is
mess.
a
That's a messy cat. That's just he's just bless
yeah,
his heart.
so messy. And it seems like you could kinda take care of the litter box thing if you had an outdoor indoor cat that they'd go outside, right?
Yes, but again, you have a tag on it, have a chip on that cat, and you will have to do more flea treatments if you have an outdoor cat. So make sure that you
Okay.
do flea treat. I mean, you do. Again, I only do consistent flea treatments for my cats because I have a dog, but now she barely goes outside anymore because she's so old. But yeah, so there's balance to that.
Mhm.
But it's not a big deal. So it's your preference. It's whatever you want to do. And a cat, and the thing and what your
I'm
cat
gonna try.
what your cat will end up doing is visiting the neighbors' houses too. So don't be surprised if your neighbor sees your cat because cats are smart and they're like, okay, well, I'm out here. She feeds me food. There's another house that looks like this house. So I bet that person would feed me too. I mean, I'm telling you, anyway, I could talk more and more. I love cats. I think they live longer than dogs. They are, they are a calming presence. I think they're very
That's what I
zen.
yes, that's my favorite part is I think that they're so sweet and calming, and I know my girls would love having one. I just gotta convince the
Yeah,
husband.
Mr. Carter is Katie is a total dog person, not a cat person. She was not a fan of the cats when we lived together, and, but they loved her, and she's had a dog, and I've had the cats, and Mr. Carter, as of today, is all about cats. Like, he
Cutie.
loves cats. So anyway, and for those who don't have cats or hate cats, I'm sorry for, thank you for sitting through the conversation, but yeah, I think that, animal lovers are animal lovers. I
Yeah,
don't believe in hating one or the other. And they all have their own personalities. And I think that when you are looking for it, I think that you should go and just let the cat find you. Like, because Akima was a cat that I went to the Atlanta Humane Society, and she, like, I don't know, they know, like, she just came to the cage, thing, and was just looking at me, and there's I don't know, there's something about cats where they find you, and so go in person with your daughters and have them connect with the cat, because if to me, the test is if a cat rubs your chin with its face. So a cat does that to mark its territory. And so I usually my litmus test when I would go look at cats was if I played with them and they let you, take them out of the cage and play. And if a cat looks at you and rubs you and kind of nuzzles your neck, then that's an indication that they're very comfortable with you and they will probably continue to do that their whole life.
they pick you.
They pick you.
That's so
They
sweet.
do.
I just love it. I love it. All right, Melissa Carter, let's go with a question out of the You Don't Know My Life box.
All right, you don't know my life. You can buy this, on Amazon. We have the link. If you're watching on YouTube below, the question today is, how did you get scammed from Instagram? Instagram scam.
Oh my gosh. I saw the coolest ad and they knew they were talking right to me. I don't know how. They've been listening to my phone or something. But I bought the biggest piece of junk, and it is magnetic eyelashes.
Okay.
Okay. These
Show
are
and tell. You're showing them to me.
fake eyelashes, which I like to wear, especially when we do anything in our line of work on camera or taking pictures, whatever, because I have very small eyes and I have blonde eyelashes. So even when I put on mascara, my eyes don't show up very well. So I saw this ad on Instagram. I was like, these are genius. They have a magnetic strip, and you're supposed to be able to put one on top and one underneath your real lashes. And the magnet boop, holds them together, and it's supposed to hold on there. So I thought, oh, this is so much better than having to glue it on and then put makeup on top of it to smooth it out. It's a bunch of bull. This is crap. Okay. They never get close enough. The magnets never get close enough to your eye. So they look like you have a love bug smashed on your eyeball once it's on there.
Well,
So
now
they
with
took my $40 and ran. I don't
now
remember how much it was, but it was something like that.
now those, you say the magnets of each one attract to the other, right? Of the lashes, the top and bottom lashes,
Right, there's supposed
because
to be one on top and one on the bottom, and the magnets are supposed to hold them together, but it doesn't really look like lashes. It is a bunch of bull.
well, I was just going to say that there are magnetic lashes that I've used that are not bull, but it's the the lashes come with eyeliner, and the eyeliner has the magnetation or whatever in
In
it,
it.
and then the eyelashes connect to the eyeliner, which actually does work, and you don't have to reapply makeup to smooth it out. So there are, but these are not them.
These are not them.
Yeah,
Nope. This is a big old Instagram scam.
I don't I'm with you. I am a sucker for an ad on Instagram, and I will click on it, but there's only 2 things. I've bought 2 things, not cosmetic, but one was this. I just moved into this townhouse, and I was I was decorating and discarding some of my old stuff and wanting something new, and there was this clock. There's a clock that was this really neat. I don't know how to describe it, but every time the minute turned, there was like this really cool geometric shape thing. I think the numbers were in the geometric shapes, and it would like switch like a puzzle to the number with
Well, oh,
every
that's so
second.
you.
And I'm like, "Oh, yes." And it looked like it was gonna take up, like, what I needed was one of those little wall spaces beside the big picture window. I just needed something over on one side of it, and I thought that'd be perfect, and you could see that from the kitchen area, and you could see what time it is, you know, and it was gonna be neat. My son would be, like, all about time by this cool clock and these numbers, and "Oh, this is great." And so it looked like it was gonna be, I don't know, 11 by 17, like it was gonna be a larger. It was neat, neat. When it came, it w the sack was about the size of my hand,
Oh,
and
you're
when I looked in it,
kidding.
it was paper, and it was a dial, and it was something I had to put together myself, and it was nothing like what the ad showed.
Ah, scammed. How much did you spend on it?
I do not remember, but it probably had to be 20 to $30 on this little piece of crap paper. And so, yeah, I got big scammed on that. And then there was a fidget spinner for Mr. Carter, and it was a Pac-Man fidget spinner, Jen Hobby. It was and it was supposed to,
Perfect.
when you spun it, Pac-Man was going to look like he was chomping. There was some kind of visual thing that it was supposed to be like 2 layers. So when you spun it, the layers, when they spun opposite each other, was going to have this animated motion of Pac-Man. My
No.
son would love that. And I bought it, and it was a fidget spinner, and it had cheap plastic around it that had Pac-Man painted on it. And when you spun it, he didn't do anything different. You can't even see him. Piece of crap. My son still plays in the back seat of the car. He still plays with it, but it wasn't anything.
Scam.
Yes. So no, no. And now what I do is I see the Instagram, and I'll still click on it, and then I'll go to Amazon or Target or Walmart or somewhere like a legitimate shopping area online, and search for that same product to see if it's actually available.
And then see the reviews and see if it's actually
Yes.
worth it or
I
whatever. That's
check
what I
it. I
should have
vet
done
it.
with these stupid
I bet it.
love bug eyelashes that are
How
a
much did you
bunch of
spend on those?
crap. Probably like 45 or $50 because
Wow.
they're supposed to be like you never have to replace them. You use them
Of
over and over and
course.
over again for the rest
No,
of
of
your life. This is the last
course.
time I was gonna buy fake eyelashes, Melissa. This was it.
And nothing about that sounded odd, but yes. I mean,
Yeah.
you were gonna get 40 or 50 years out of those lashes.
Yeah. I'm telling you, bunch of crap. All right. I am gonna try the one you were telling me about though. That would be
I'll
cool.
send you a link of the ones I've actually used.
Okay. We'll put it in the show notes too. All right, moving on to the Frenzy advice column. So
Yay.
today we have a question submitted from Ashley in North Carolina, and she wants to ask the Frenzy, what are some creative ways to stay in touch with friends who live out of state or in different time zones? She said, I have kids and I can't travel to see my friends as much as I would like. So, how do other people stay close? What about for
Um,
you? Because I know some of your best friends are in another
Cali,
state.
in California. I have one
Yeah.
that is in California, and, we're a little slack right now, we'll say. We got a little slack, but we're both, single moms of young children, and throughout the pandemic, we set, a time at night. Well, it was late afternoon for her and evening for me, and every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, we would get on Zoom. It didn't matter what was going on. Every Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, we got on Zoom. And we probably talked more during the pandemic doing it that way than we ever did. Because I would do is like she said, we would just catch up when I would go there or she would come here. And that was not often that we had the chance to do that.
Right.
So I would say set a time and it's like you commit to it
That's good.
because there are times where my son was interrupting, her son was interrupting, things were going on, work was, trying to text her. It didn't matter. We just sat with each other. She was cooking dinner. Like, don't
Mhm.
assume if it's a good enough friend, you don't have to be sitting and staring at each other. There were times where we'd be on the call and I wouldn't even see her. She'd be going around her apartment, but we were still, she was still talking like she would if you were sitting there on her couch, right? And her trying to get stuff done. So I would say that. And then I have another friend who we don't see each other as much, but we send gag gifts to each other. So we just keep
Awesome.
the laughter going by sending something that is funny. And that way it's a less time commitment friendship, but it's one where we connect on humor. And so that at least keeps you in mind and you have a story to tell. So there are two different types ways I do it.
That is awesome. I love those. I was gonna say a phone date as well. I do like a FaceTime date with my friend who lives in Nashville, and same kind of thing with your friend. Like we will just set up the phone and just chit chat, but it's on the calendar and nothing else can interrupt it. We're not, also checking email or whatever else. And for both of us, I have got two kids and she has two stepkids. They're both about the same age. So we schedule it during the work day where it's almost like
Mhm.
just easier because it's quieter and the kids are at school and that sort of thing. But we call it our phone date and we FaceTime. And it's just there's something different about seeing each other face to face and being able to catch up in that way.
Yeah.
And we try to do it every couple of months. Sometimes it'll stretch into 6 months, but whenever we chat, it's for like a good hour.
Mhm.
So I like using technology in that way. You're using Zoom, I was using FaceTime. And then another way that I stay in touch with a group of friends, I am still really close with all of these women that I went to summer camp with when we
Yep.
were kids. And there is about 13
Mary what's the name
Camp
of the camp?
Marywood.
Marywood. See, I remember part of it.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And we are on a group chat. And so some days I will check my phone and I have 42 text messages. I'm like, what in the world? And it's always that group chat that has just gone off about something, like you said, something funny. Somebody sent a funny picture. We'll have like one of those time hops, or, Apple will send you a picture of something from your past and we'll share it, and then everybody's commenting on it or something funny will happen. And it's just the most random things that everybody shares on there.
Right.
And I think it's always fun and light and entertaining, and
Mhm.
so we all try to stay in touch with what's going on there, because sometimes I feel like at this stage of our life, if you don't do the funny stuff, the only time you're gonna be in touch is when big sad things happen.
Right.
Like whether you're attending a friend's parent's funeral or whether you're attending, or somebody has a big health scare or a big thing that happens, then you're in touch again. So that's why I like the group text because it's just light, it's everyday random stuff. It's
And I well
goofy.
well, and I also think too, if you have an interest, like, because I'm a geek, and so geek conventions are Dragon Con is part of my life, and when I was younger, I would go to other conventions around the country, and I, saw a group of women who that was their yearly they were all geeks, and so it wasn't Dragon Con, but it was another convention where that was their time, that was their vacation together. They would
Cool.
meet at the convention, and they would all be, rooming together, and that was their girl time. So that's another thing. It doesn't have to be like a convention, but I'm just thinking something consistent. Just stay consistent. So if it's once a year, if you're good friends, once a year is enough. But if
Mhm.
you need to do a trip where you are always at Lake Tahoe, you're always at Vegas, you're always in Florida, you're always wherever you are, that's the same spot every single year, same time, and it's just something that you always have on the calendar and you always look forward to, and then you have your girl time, and you just cannot allow anything to interrupt it, because it's a shame that we're more concerned about work and we'll shove everybody aside for work because they pay us,
True.
rather than we are about our own children, about our friends. Like, we need to treat our friends and children the same way we treat our employer. Is
I think
that
about that. I really do. I think about that with my close girlfriends because, if we live out life expectancy the way we plan, we're probably all gonna, be around longer than our partners are. You know what I
yes.
mean? For me
Stati
anyway, because I am
statis
married
it
to a dude.
statistics show, and my mother, I mean, like, the people I've seen in my life, women normally outlive men. And so there will be a phase of your life with your friends where your husbands will not be around, or you will have friends whose husbands are not there, and it slowly will. But yes, your lives will change as you move forward. But if you stay consistent, then they won't deter you as much as they might some others who stay out of touch.
Yeah, I'm
You
fully
know?
on board with being like the Golden Girls, and like
Yeah.
all moving to Florida
I
and
love
having an
I love
apartment
I love
together.
I love Grant, but he's you're gonna outlive him. So, I mean, no offense, Grant, but but that's something else too, that the friends, that's one of the things, that the reason we're here is that it's okay for life's changes to happen, but just know more, that, have your life there for you, and not don't don't abandon your friends for your husband. I will say that. Don't abandon your friends for your
Mhm.
husband, because when your husband's not there anymore, you're going to be left alone. And that's not where you
And
want to be.
my girlfriends, you included, Melissa Carter, fill a different void that he can't fill, right?
Right.
Like we have a great marriage and he is my person, but my girlfriends and the conversations that we have and the conversations you and I have fill me up in a different way. Women,
Hmm.
I just feel more wired to communicate more
Right.
fully than
Right.
he ever wants to.
Well,
You
and
know,
sometimes, yeah, and sometimes your opposites attract, and where because I'm with women, and the women I'm with, there are times where they just don't get parts of me that friends get, and
yeah.
so it's okay for you to have more than one person fulfill who you are. Women were taught that your man's going to take care of everything or
Uh-uh.
fill a hole or something. It's like, no, you fill
No.
that hole with your life, and you choose your friend. But stay consistent. I would say, if nothing else, figure out what's best for you and your friend, but stay consistent with it always. Do not let it slip because my friend and I in California, we did that for over a year every Tuesday night. And then there was a Tuesday night we couldn't make it. And that we have not gotten back on track since then. And that was several months ago.
That's
So
hard. Yeah, once you break the
once you break the
pattern.
cycle, then you
Yeah.
"Oh, well, this Tuesday night," no, don't make an excuse. But if you have any questions for Dear Friendzy, Melissa at thefrenzy.com and Jen at thefrenzy.com. I do love this segment. It's great.
Yes, I do too. I totally do. All right, so here is your mirror mantra in line with that. Just to say to your reflection this week is that I will make a phone date with my best friend. That could
Yes.
be on Zoom, that could be on FaceTime, that could just be a chat while you're driving in the car, but I will make a phone date with my best friend because you both deserve that time together.
I love it.